Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, January the 22nd, presented by Mercury. Hey, the weather's coming in a little bit. Things are a little bit tough, but we checked in with our usual crowd. Tom Ott at Guntersville, Josh Herron at Logan Martin and Lay Lake, and then, of course, the crappie king of Weiss Lake, Lee Pitts, who give us the feedback on Weiss Lake crappie and bass, as well as good stuff from Neely Henry to help you put a few more fish in the boat. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, January the 22nd, presented by Mercury. Time for us to head on up to the big, long Tennessee River, mountain lake in the sky, Guntersville with Tom Ott. Tom, I know you've been out there fighting those weather changes. Tell us what effects that's had on the lake and on the fish.
Well, let me just start by saying the reels are very clean. The tackle has been organized, all that good stuff. It's a great time to do that. Right now, Dano, out there on Guntersville, what we're seeing is we're seeing some high water, some muddy water. But those fish are really, with these longer days that we're seeing, and specifically with the full moon that we just came through, we're really starting to see those fish start to bunch up. It's time to get those rattle traps, those rattle baits out, those chatter baits out. Even those bright colors. It's really that time to start, throwing those reds and fire tigers and things like that. These fish are starting to make that move. They're really starting to bunch up in those drains and ditches, the curves of the creek channels, getting ready to make that and these big fish are going to make the first move, so it's time to get out there, catch a big fish, maybe not a lot of them, but if you do run across them, you're going to catch more than one. I can promise you that.
So is it going to be a hard bottom, hard structure thing? Are you going to be looking for grass drains? What kind of things are you going to be looking for?
The depressions is probably the biggest thing, but what I'm seeing is a lot of the hard bottom areas that's leading up to the grass. So maybe not specifically in the grass until later in the day. We get some of that suntime or daytime warmth, if you will, which we haven't seen a lot of lately. But when you do, that's when those fish are really going to be on those grass edges. But right now, what I'm seeing is right at the edge of that grass, just starting to move up. So, probably anywhere between 20 to 12 feet is a target zone right now. But they are starting to move. And, most people start to look at this weather, water temperature, things of that nature. Look at the length of days. Anybody that gets off at 4:30 right now knows that it's still daylight, and last month it wasn't. So that's what the fish are really starting to play upon.
Well, it's a great time to get out there with those lipless baits and kind of yo-yo them softly through those areas, pulse them through the grass a little bit. And don't forget, you still can find crappie on Guntersville around the hard stuff, the rock piles, some of those offshore stumps, and maybe even some of those causeway bridges. Well, Tom, as always, man, we appreciate everything, and we will look to talk to you again next week.
That sounds good, Dano. Hey, everybody be safe out there. Take you an extra set of dry clothes in case it rains. It's not going to snow, but in case it rains, and just tight lines out.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, January the 22nd, presented by Mercury. We're going to head on up to Weiss Lake with Lee Pitts, the crappie king of Weiss Lake. I know this cold water and mud's gotten to you a little bit, hadn't it?
What a difference a day makes. This old cold front's hit again. We've been catching fish early in the week and catching a lot of numbers. But once again, here it comes, this just frigid cold weather. Little bit of wind and got some mud coming back into us. We're just going to have to, as the old song says, riding the storm out, man. We're going to have to hang in there with it just a little bit longer.
So I'm sure that those crappies gotten real tight to some of those stumps and some of those hard things. What about the bass? What are you seeing up there?
It's still back in some of the creeks where these fish, and even bass and crappie, they're still back in there. They hadn't left. We've had a lot of current moving, trying to get some of this water gone, but the spots are still biting pretty good. A lot of guys, the water temperature's gotten cold, so they're throwing a jerk bait, a little square bill, something like that, something they can kind of stop a little bit and not just make those fish have to really chase it. Of course, it's a little tougher, but still, man, you can get out and you can get bit. You can go catch some pretty good fish. Little River's still got some clean water in it. Yellow Creek has still got some, some decent water. Yellow Creek's bigger, so you're going to have to watch that wind. If you got that wind howling, it may be tough. But overall, even with this bitter cold coming in, we're still catching fish. It's not sunny and 75 out there, and we're all in shorts and flip flops. But if you want to put some meat in the freezer, you can still get out there and catch some crappie right now.
Okay, turn to Neely Henry real quick for us. What's going on down there?
You know, the bass are doing a whole lot better than crappie are right now. I went early in the week down there and fished before all this came in, so it was a little bit better. Caught some fish out there deeper. I'm preferring down at Neely to get out there and just kind of vertical. It's like a drop shot. You know, I'm putting a heavy weight on there, mixing up from live bait to using some of the Bobby Garland products that don't need a whole lot of movement to still have some good action to it. You know, your baby shads, your slab slayers, things like that, because like I said, with the cold weather coming in, these fish don't really want to chase anything. Talking to some of the guys that are bass fishing down there, they're still catching good numbers of bass. Every now and then the largemouth bite has got a little bit tougher. They're still catching some good spots, but you know, you'll get that old big largemouth roll up on it every now and then. So we're getting to the time of year that fishing, they know what's going on. They know what time of year it is. They're in there trying to feed up and get ready. This is just part of it, these old cold snaps.
Well, Lee, as always, man, we appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. Talk to you then.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, January the 22nd, presented by Mercury. Time for us to connect with Josh Heron, that stud angler down there on Logan Martin and Lay Lake. Josh, tell us what's going on your end of the Coosa River.
Man, we still got a little mud and definitely got some colder water temps now. So we're getting into our kind of true winter patterns, it seems like. Everything's kind of starting to kind of level out. We're still on some weird weather trends. Seems like we're on about a 6 or 7 day rotation. But, I mean, we're kind of right there in the guts of winter now. It seems like it took a really long time for it to get there, but fish are really starting to set up on, like, what I would call a lot more vertical presentations. They're starting to get out towards the river, and they're starting to concentrate on, like, the faces of these bluffs. Anywhere kind of like right in the intersection of these main creek mouths, but they're looking for these really vertical presentations, it seems like, to where these fish can kind of move up in the afternoons like we were talking about in the sun, and they seem to kind of start there in the morning, and then they just kind of pull in and out through the day. And I think it's just mainly due to the fact that those places tend to hold heat on the rocks.
So what kind of techniques would you target that? Would you look for rocks, vertical bluffs? Would you look for creek channels? What kind of things are you looking for, and how would you go out?
The main thing about the rock is when we do get this afternoon sun, the rocks tend to hold heat longer. So it's kind of like a skinny kid and a heating blanket in the middle of wintertime. These fish, obviously cold-blooded, so that rocks really helps them retain body heat. And also crawfish. Chatterbaits work really good paralleling. And I mean, that's going to be the main key with this is parallel. It's kind of deal where you got to put your boat right up against the bank, and you're wanting to fish directly down the bank in front of you, as pretty much as close as you can get. But jigs, chatterbaits, jerkbaits, if water temperature, if the water clarity will play with it. Godforsaken A-rig. I mean, but single swim baits work really good, like a hollow body, like a Bastrix or a true bass. Those things really, this is my favorite time of year to throw them. You're not looking for something that's real erratic. You're looking for something that just has a really good, wide, kind of slow swimming motion. Everything's metabolism really slows down. So stuff doesn't hop, jump, twitch this time of year. It's more of a really slow, consistent swim is what you're looking for. That's kind of why the A-rig really shines. It's not so much the 5 baits. I think it's more the swing motion of just dead straight track lines.
Well, Josh, as always, man, we appreciate everything. Thanks for the insight, and we will catch up with you again next week. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, January the 22nd, presented by Mercury. Thanks to the guys for everything that they have to say. Fishing season's right around the corner, folks. We know that tournaments are starting to kick off, and you're going to need to make sure that your boat is working, that your electronics are up to speed, and that you have all the tackle and the oil and everything that you need. Come see us here at Bucks Island, and we'll take care of you. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will talk to you again next week.